Broke men should not date. This is a very popular ideology, especially amongst the blacks. And I felt several different ways about it. Obviously the general logic being that if a man doesn't have his shit together, then he doesn't need to be necessarily entertaining a woman, and he should be focused on getting in a better position. Which does make sense. And in that philosophy, the broke man pretty much needs to be in the lab grinding. Now, there's some interesting elements to this because this ideology is really what I would call a hybrid philosophy. And what hybrid philosophies are basically is when, though it's modern dating, a particular traditional social custom or norm is inserted into it. However, it's inserted without the actual reasoning of why it used to exist. So this is one of those examples. It's modern dating, right? Black women's empowerment, education, more black women are working than black men. But you shouldn't date if you're broke, only applies to men. Generally, from what I've received, the explanation to be is that, no woman is ever at a point so low that she, or at least purely when it comes to finances, a woman is never at a point so low that she is undeserving of the love, attention, affection, and spoiling or resources of a man. All right, so being a woman is enough. It's the only qualifier needed to be eligible for the enjoyment, company, protection, provision, etc. of a man. So they have no broke not dating policy, generally speaking. The actual number that's considered broke has been surprising. I've heard tons of different people throw out different numbers. The highest I've heard is 70,000. If you make less than 70,000, you broke and you don't need to be focusing on dating. Now the problem I have with the broke being a reason that you don't date is exactly that. For being broke to be a reason that you X yourself out of the opportunity or the ability to enjoy and spend time with the opposite sex. I think the danger in doing that is not how women see you, not you having a woman on board and not having resources. The danger in you not dating because you're broke is that you are formulating a self-image of you as a man, and you are assigning a heavy weight towards your current finances. So if you need money to be worthy of a woman, are you no longer a man if you don't have money? Yeah, so that's general point. I spent a lot of time. I was actually writing a piece, broke guys that excel with women, and I spent some time around guys that literally were either had seasons of their life where they had little to nothing, and these guys excelled with women. Talked to guys who had been freed from incarceration, were living in halfway houses, dating, having women. I talked to guys that had multiple baby mothers, lived in homes with their families, and still had, were enjoying the company of women in their life. And to be truthful, none of them actually, none of them were womanizers or had women coming in to the point where it was like an obsessive distraction, but none of them were had living devoid of the affection, attention, access to a woman, and none of them were ever X themselves out of any types of possibilities. And when they started sharing their philosophy, I started learning a lot of things. With these guys, they did not view them being broke as a reflection of who they were as a man. They viewed them being broke as the situation that they were currently in. Not only that, they didn't try to hide it. They didn't make it like a, kind of meet a girl finesse. Well, I'm just here visit, but then I'm about to move. No, they met women and they let it be known straight out the gate. Like, yeah, I'm fucked up right now. I had XYZ happen. They were unapologetic about it. They presented themselves as is to women. Now, and they, the levels of various, conversation, attractiveness, game. That was all there too. But they fundamentally did not view a woman as better than them, above them, etc., or not have access to them simply because of their financial situation. And interestingly enough, I found with these guys and their philosophy, the financial situation was already accepted and registered in their mind on a subconscious level, almost, that this is temporary. And because they had so much of a self-reliant belief in themselves as a man, in almost all their cases, it wound up being temporary. But they treated them being broke from a stance of, it is what it is. You know, I'm down right now. But they didn't feel like that was a disqualifier. And ultimately, because they didn't feel like it was a disqualifier, it did not dim their light in life. It did not dim their joy. It did not dim who they were. Because a lot of these guys, they've had a framework of their manhood that was based on something else. Their manhood might have been based on how they stood solid and had their loyalty, their programming, their habits, their routine, their discipline. Those were the areas that their masculine self-image was formed. It wasn't formed from a business card, right? So I learned that was a powerful lesson, that they did not define themselves by their situation. Two, it frames a very unhealthy relationship with women. You know, a lot of these guys, they didn't view a woman just because a woman has more money than them as, above them or something of that nature. They didn't view a woman having, a couple dollars more, their situation, as something that meant they had such a deep belief in what their manhood meant, that still don't make you lighter than me. You having, triple the income as me, woman, that still doesn't make you, because I'm a man. And they displayed refined masculinity in the way they dealt with women. Great listeners, great this, very resourceful. It wasn't like they were broke bums. They had a very heightened attention maybe to detail when it comes to that. And lastly, too, the women are broke. Going back to my earlier point, so for a man to say, I'm not going to entertain women because I'm broke, meanwhile, said women who are broke still, it's like, what are you saying? Like, fundamentally, then, like, is womanhood above your manhood? And I tell you, you would not believe some of the beautiful women, some of the gorgeous women that I have called friends, that literally have called me and needing $7 to get a ride share. Women that could not pay a $50 balance on a website. Women that needed $9 to grab some food. Women are broke too. So women are broke. So it's not something that's just unique to man. So the reality is, why can't a broke guy have a broke woman? And wouldn't that be a better situation if two people with limited resources are together? Wouldn't that be better than being isolated? So ultimately, I don't think being broke should stop a man from dating. Now I don't think it should be a womanizer. I don't think it should be a focus. But if you see someone that you're attracted to, why can't you open, as these brothers were saying, why can't you openly and honestly express yourself for who you are as a man and what your situation is? See, the reason that people don't do that, I don't think it's about the woman. I don't think it's about, I think it's about the fear of embarrassment, because emasculation is at an all-time high. Disrespect is at an all-time high. And a lot of guys are so scared of being in a position where they look weak or trumped off that they won't put themselves out there like that. But what I found with some of these brothers was they were comfortable with the outcome, meaning it doesn't bother them if they holler at a woman and she say nah, this, that, and the other, keep walking, this, that. They weren't really that attached to the result. They were hollering at the woman because they saw a gorgeous woman, and the only permission they needed was the fact that they were a man. So I feel like it's a very more reliant way of life. And what happens when you say, I'm not gonna do this because I'm broke, right? That's a form of punishment in your mind, register. And punishment is when you take a privilege away, typically, or you discipline or take a privilege away due to an infraction in behavior. So now you're telling yourself you've done something wrong. Because you've done something wrong, you've taken something away. And because you've taken something away, this has been delayed. And you can set off a cycle. And what I found is they got out of the broke thing really quick because they didn't act broke. But when you start doing all of these different things, I think you got to be careful of like what messaging is that actually telling yourself. That one, okay, I'm not worthy today because I don't have enough on this because I didn't do this right, so I'm punishing myself, and that can be a self-fulfilling prophecy. That can put you in a cycle. Now, if you personally, to your own volition, are just focused on yourself right now because that's what you decided. Hey, you want to just lock in on that. You want to season with you and God. You want to think that's one thing. If you're doing it because of you, fine. But to do it because of them is a betrayal of self. And, it doesn't really matter what women say they want. I tell you one thing, man, broke women are thriving. I mean, broke men are thriving. And there are women out there that like taking care of a guy. There are women out there that like, if they see a guy that's making a valiant effort and making any progress, they by default have to do something to help. There's a lot more women out there than what the internet and podcasts be showing. There's women that really like spoiling a man. It's women like they out there, and I mean I'm not talking about needles in a haystack. There's a nice segment of women that actually get off on that, and then other things, attractiveness kind of comes into play, but it's the women's job to deny you dating. Right. So, okay, if I'm broke, whatever, this, that, and other, hey, excuse me, hey, I just want to come meet you. Yes, okay. Okay, cool. Let's chop it up. How you doing? I'm doing good. Hey, man, it was a pleasure to meet you. What you do? I'm down right now. I ain't gonna lie. It's been a rough year for me. I'm still getting back up. Right now, man, I've been, doing a little Instacart and XYZ, but, saving things, moving in the right direction. That's what it is. It is what it is. Why can't you say that? And if she says, is that okay? Cool. That's on her. Or you can learning to express yourself. You can have the inspiration of now. Man, I need to get my stuff together. I'm ready to get out. You got a little added fuel. Or you presenting yourself honestly. And a lot of chicks, if you keep it, if you can stand on who you are like that, now you got someone who's like, damn, wow, that was real. That was you all. Now you're standing out. So, to me, it's not a good idea to just not date because you're broke. Now, women don't want to date you because they're broke. That's their right. But if you a shooter gonna shoot, and you should never police yourself from things that you desire, simply because you don't think that you're worthy of it. So to me, being broke should not deter you from dating.